Welcome to the It's Show Business Podcast. We have a great episode for you today. It's with Matt Bachus. He runs an amazing podcast called Hold My Bread, the $1 Million Podcast. We talk about stocks a bit more than usual, always some comedy talk. It's a great episode. So please give us a subscribe and review, keep us on the charts, and enjoy the episode. All right. Matt,
Hey,
thanks for coming to the pod.
thank you so much for having me.
Of course, dude.
I'm very excited.
We met at the world famous Oyster Bar.
Yeah, that's right. We did. I was being a real baby.
You were fine. You came and did Mike Falzone and I kind of run that show, and it's a fun thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's a bar show with a soul, I guess.
Yeah, it was like I don't know. It was fun. The people that were there were like in a good mood. I had a great time. It was just one of those fun, like, kind of throw it around, mess around rooms sort of thing.
Were you there for my set?
I don't think I was. I think you might have.
You would have noticed it because I was talking to this one girl who was in the crowd talking the whole time.
Yeah. Did you go pretty early?
I think it was third. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't there yet. I forget where I was coming from. I was coming from somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah, and you're a New York comic, and you're here in LA.
Yeah. I've been in New York for about 5 years,
Okay.
and I've never been out to LA before, so I just planned a trip.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
it's
amazing.
my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I'm excited for the first trip. I keep telling myself, don't be too upset about anything. It's your first trip, so
Right.
it's good.
LA is a town where it's gonna disrespect you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
The more you can let it roll off, the
That's what's
better.
upsetting about it, like, because I'm letting myself get annoyed by things, but I'm also
Yeah.
like, who am I to be upset about anything? Like, I'm
Right.
nothing. Like, I'm no one. No one asked me to come out here. It doesn't matter that I'm here.
Yeah.
So-
It's like that. I used to come to LA doing short trips, like for meetings and stuff.
Mhm.
And if you came for 5 days, like without fail, day 4, they're like, "Oh, we have to reschedule. Can you come in 2 days?" So it's always like a town where it's like it never lines up with your short trips. Everyone's always pushing a meeting.
Yeah.
Where in New York, we're used to like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Like boo, boo, boo. We say it, we do it. And here
Right.
it's a bit more relaxed, a bit more loosey.
That's what's been throwing me off about shows is because I've been booking a couple shows a night and people are like, it's doable, but it's hard. And I'm so
Yeah.
used to being in New York where it's like my spot time is at 11:40. I'm
Right.
at 10:30. So I'm like updating people like, hey, I just got off stage. I'm headed your way. I'll be there
Yeah.
at this time. And
They're
they're
probably like, why is this guy texting me?
yeah, exactly. That's the thing that bothered me about the show last night. I texted, I jumped in a car. I was like, I'll be there at 10:34.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, cool. And I got there. It didn't go up forever.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, even like guys like Mark Norman have done my show, and like they're super on time. It's like, he's coming in, he's like 5 minutes before he's supposed to go on, walks on stage, does it, hops back in the Uber, goes back somewhere else. And it's a flow.
It's so cool though. I mean, it feels like to me that's like showbiz stuff. Like, it's like the Elvis shit where you like walk on stage, you do your show, you walk off stage into a car. Like that is the coolest to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and then you have a podcast, right?
yeah, we have a very similar podcast. I think it's called Hold My Bread. It's also about money and finance.
Yeah, your podcast in some ways is like what I thought I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I started out with this podcast, the first few episodes which we didn't air were like way more about stocks. And then I found like for me, I just kept talking about weed stocks with people. And I was like, I don't know if this is really it. And I kind of adjusted the format to be a bit more, we'll talk about investing if people want to, but we'll also talk about show business.
I kind of like that. I feel like my friend, the guy I do the podcast with, Joel Wachowski, I feel like he is very much driven on the stock stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think he gets bogged down in like, it doesn't have to be all about stocks. It can be fun. We can just go off on tangents and stuff. So I try and like steer it in that direction where it doesn't have to be so hard on the stock stuff, because sometimes that stuff is just so
Well, it influences what type of guests you can have,
right.
Because otherwise you're having like a very like, let me explain this conversation again, which can be kind of like not that informative, At least that's what was happening to me. But I love the portfolio thing. That was something that was in the back of my mind as well. But like, I love the way you did it. And where are you guys at? Because I just listened to episode 2 where you had like $1,000.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we're close to 2,000 right now.
See, and then you started with how much?
I actually don't remember how much we started with right now. I think we started out, we bought a handful of stocks at the beginning. I want to say it was like $500 or $600 around there. 680 is the number that sticks out to me for some reason.
Right.
And yeah, we just have been growing. We haven't put any more money in. We've just used with what we started with. We've bought a few stocks here and there. Like I said, every week on the episode, not every week, but every couple weeks or so, I'll come in with a stock. He'll come in with a stock. We'll pitch it to each other. And I think I'm winning. I think I'm up. I think all the stocks.
Oh, you kind of monitor?
Yeah, we kind of keep track a little bit. We're pretty competitive, so we kind of keep track of whose stocks are doing what. And I think So far, I think I've made the biggest gains because I've got
that's great.
The good touch, I guess.
The magic touch.
Exactly.
You started at 680?
For some reason, that's the number that sticks out to me. Yeah, I don't really know why.
In like October?
Yeah, we have 20 episodes out. I think 19 episodes out. So yeah.
Okay, and you're already at 2,000?
Yeah.
That's
pretty close to 2,000. I think we're I think the last episode we did, we were at like 1,900.
Okay, but that's like 300%.
Yeah.
What did you guys buy?
We bought AMD. We bought.
Okay. What'd you buy AMD at?
Well, see, that's the thing too. Is like I have my own personal portfolio, and I have the show portfolio. I think the show portfolio we bought AMD at like 30 or 40. And then what else did we buy? We bought
AMD was in the 5s not too long ago.
Yo, I bought AMD on my personal portfolio when it was like 15.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So
what made you buy AMD? AMD, if those who don't know, is like the lower end Intel. So Intel does like pretty much has like cornered the microprocessor market, and AMD was always like number 2. Well, like if you couldn't get a Pentium, you would get like an AMD chip.
And then there's like NVIDIA, which was number 1 for, right?
NVIDIA's graphics cards.
Oh, okay. Well, for some reason, I always thought they were competing with each other. But
AMD competes with NVIDIA directly because AMD also does graphics cards.
Okay.
So AMD does chips and graphics, and NVIDIA is just graphics.
Okay.
So NVIDIA, when people are doing Bitcoin farms, they use NVIDIA cards. So that's like this really, and all
right. That was driving up the price of those cards because people were buying them up just to farm for Bitcoin.
Just to farm,
right?
And then they use them. NVIDIA also is in the driverless car space because the type of processing that graphics does is very good for like Teslas and stuff.
Yeah, nice. I don't know. I followed when I decided I was going to get into investing. I started to look on Reddit and find some Reds to follow, and I saw people talk about AMD a lot. And I started doing my own research. I saw like they were in graphics cards. I do play a little bit of video games. I know that they're big on computers. Obviously, I know that like there's a bunch of consoles that are going to come out soon. I know new Xbox
is AMD.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, so this might be a good thing.
I think PlayStation as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just thought this is a good thing to do.
Right.
And luckily it worked out. So.
Okay. And so that's one of the bigger.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what's in our portfolio right now. But
But regardless, up 300%.
Regardless, pretty good. We're up pretty far. So,
did you ever see that movie Limitless?
Yeah, with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, he like borrows $100,000 in the movie from this like Russian mobster, and then he's like $100,000 to like 10 million in like a week, and everyone's calling him. That's gonna be you guys, man. Yeah, if you keep up 300%, you're gonna be like the guy.
Well, we bought a bunch of pharmaceutical stocks, and what was it? Amarin. We bought a stock called Amarin, and I feel like we were flying so high, it was up a ton, and we should have sold it. And we were just kept riding it. Like they kept doing tests, and every time they would do a test and it would come back well, the stock would jump. And so we kept waiting for it to jump and jump and jump. And we were waiting and waiting. And then December they did a test, it got like declassified in some way that the stock is back down to where we bought it. So, but I think it's one of those things where that's what I like about stocks is I feel like it'll come back at some point. I think it's Vasipa is the drug is like the drug. It's like a heart pressure or blood pressure medicine thing. So I think it'll be okay. I'm not too concerned with it. We bought the big thing about the podcast is we missed out on Beyond. Do you know about Beyond?
Beyond Meat?
Yeah. We missed out on it so hard. It's devastating. It really is what launched the podcast almost.
You mean you missed out, like you didn't buy it after the IPO or?
So what had happened was we were talking about, Joel and I were talking about the Beyond already. We were talking about it. He got money from his mom. I had money set aside. He had set money aside to buy it. We were going to buy it as soon as it filed for IPO.
Yeah.
And then I think it opened up a little higher than we expected, and we chickened out. We didn't pull the trigger. I think it opened up at like 40 something, 43.
Right.
And we didn't pull the trigger. And I mean, it shot up to 200 at one point. I mean, we could have made 20 grand. We could have made a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, what type of research do you guys do? Because I'm just curious about like the process. Is it things you know, things you like? Because everything from Beyond which is probably like a consumable you eat maybe or have tried.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Like pharmaceuticals, which you probably haven't tried,
right?
Or like not necessarily in your day-to-day life.
That's very true. Well, living in New York, we had Beyond Burgers pretty early, so we would try.
So, we had them here too. I had one last night. They're so good.
They're good. Yeah. And so we would go around. There was literally a day where we went around and we had 3 Beyond Burgers in a day. We went and tried one at different spots. Like we went and had one at this one place.
It's called the Scuttlebutt. Were you doing this for investing?
We were just kind of doing it for fun, but it ended up being that way. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, there's a guy, one of the most famous investors is Phil Fisher. He wrote a book. It's common. Let me see if I have it here.
I didn't realize that's what we were doing.
Yeah, common stocks and uncommon profits. So this guy is like one of the guys that Warren Buffett looked up to, and his one of his main things he like started doing was that when he got interested in a company, he'd like stock them, he'd go try the product, he'd wait, and he called it the scuttlebutt, like the research to be like really understand it from both sides, not just looking at financial statements, but getting in there and like being part of like the process.
Well, that's kind of how, I mean, I didn't go to school for this. So my whole thing is like, I'm in the world. I see people consuming things. Mm-hmm. Try and like take the data I see and use it. I mean, I remember one of the things I told somebody was like, I'm on the subway all the time.
Right.
90% of the people, you can look at this, you can get on the subway and you can count 5 AirPods at a time. I mean, you can count, everyone has AirPods. So it's like, that's kind of my thing, is just to look at what people are using, what people are buying, what's happening, you know, that sort of thing.
That was why Warren Buffett invested in Apple. Like, I mean, he has 2 guys under him who bring him stocks now that manage like, Todd and Ted, and they manage the portfolio. He's given them, I think, like $9 billion each to manage, and they started buying Apple, and then he's like, oh, like he knows everyone has this device, and it's very sticky, meaning like you have an Apple, you buy another Apple, and it's like it's such a big part of your lives.
Right.
And then he started investing in it, and they're one of the biggest Apple shareholders now.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I said, that was my whole kind of thing. Yeah. And honestly, it's been nice to hear, because I have a couple of people in New York that are in finance, and they're like, that's really a big part of it. Is just picking up on trends.
Yeah.
And I can't read a chart, but I can tell you, you know, I can notice things like Tesla. I got in on Tesla pretty early because I don't know. I guess I believed in it. I don't know why really, but I did. And it's paid off pretty well. So
yeah, it's hard. This is when like investing butts up against valuation, because at some point you do have to pay the piper, and the company does have to be worth like a solid amount. It's kind of like you guys did an episode on WeWork, and like that's what happens when it goes bad. Like everyone's excited, just growth, and when the growth doesn't materialize, that's when everything contracts.
Yeah, that was one of our better episodes. We did a few episodes on WeWork because there's just so much news that kept coming out, and then eventually it was like we just need to do a deep dive on it, and we talk about all the craziness of the CEO and all that stuff. So
So like these high flying like stocks that are valued at like 10, 20, 30 times earnings, it's like they can either grow into that multiple, or they can miss it and contract. Like, remember when Netflix collapsed, when they had that quick stir thing?
Yeah.
So it's like it's growing, and it comes down. Or like Amazon, it's growing, it comes down. And that's the whole thing. It's like no one really knows where the growth is going to stop. Right. Otherwise, everyone could value stuff exactly all the time.
Right. Yeah. It's been fun. I mean, like I said, I started out really not really knowing anything, and I had a little bit of money in my savings account, and I was like, if I'm smart and I can learn this, I can just have my savings account be in the stock market instead, and have it make a little bit of money here and there.
And in New York, it's a renter's market, so you're not getting that like ownership thing of like in a smaller town, or even LA where it's like semi-affordable. You know, it's like New York is so crazy, and
right.
So, and you're spending a lot of money too. So I lived in New York for almost 4 years, and it was hard to save money. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm being in New York, being close to Wall Street, close to all the finance people. Yeah. It's like you literally will hear people. I'll hear people on the street talking about things, and guys in suits mentioning stocks and stuff like that. And I'll be like, all right, well maybe I'll check into that. That stuff I really do that stuff. You know,
right.
I can try and keep my ears open and see what people are reading, and try and get a tip where you can.
Tip where you can. Yeah. Tips are for waiters.
Yeah.
There was a thing in the olden days, like guys, when the stock market, like, like with the paper ticker and stuff, they would like put little tips, the guy in their pockets, and like go to the coffee shops and like drop them. And people would grab them, and they would like pump and dump. They would like build it up so they could sell and get out.
Well, that's the problem with these Reddits. I follow some Reddits, and it's like you got to take it for a grain of salt, because it's people get on there with fake accounts, and they're
penny stocks.
Exactly. So you got to take it for what it's worth. But that is funny how that's just evolved over the years.
Right.
I've heard people. We talked about on the not the most recent episode. We had an episode actually dropped today that I'm not on since I'm here, but. The last episode, there's a stock called ENRT.
Okay.
It's like a 5-cent stock. And there's this map, and Tesla owns, it's a lithium mine, and Tesla owns all the land around them, and they're just sitting there.
Right.
And so the theory obviously is like Tesla will buy them out and the stock will pop, hopefully.
Right.
And the Twitter seems to think seems to think that's going to happen, but we talked about how we think that's just like 4 guys that own ENRT that are just trying to
How do you know it's
people.
Even real that they own the land?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, we don't know.
Yeah, this is where the research side comes in.
Exactly.
Is it in the pink sheets or is it on the stock exchange?
It's not. I don't actually know. I know that Joel has a bunch of. He has a bunch of it on. He bought it through his. I think it's E-Trade account. His E-Trade account.
Okay, so it's available.
Yeah. So, but I know I just transferred. I started out on Robinhood and I transferred over to E-Trade.
Yeah.
And I know Robinhood. I mean, it's a penny stock, so Robinhood doesn't mess with that stuff. So, but yeah, so stuff like that is very interesting to me because like I said, it's probably like 4 ENRT employees making 30 Twitter accounts to be like, we're gonna be huge.
Yeah, I mean, and mining is a volatile place to be.
A lot of my money when I first started was in gold, and I just lost so much money. I held it for like ever. And
gold miners or what?
It was the company. The ticker was JNUG, and I think it was like a gold. I don't actually know what it was.
Right.
Something to do with gold, and I was just kept watching it, and it was like climbing and climbing and climbing, and then it dropped so low, and I had to hold it for like 2 years, and I was like, I'm never gonna make anything off this. And as soon as it shot back up, I sold, and I think it's good. It was good, but that was a learning experience for me to definitely like. It's hard for me to pull the trigger. You know, I guess it might be for anybody, but it's hard for me to be like, take your profits and don't get greedy, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting. It's hard to know when to sell too. It's like. My philosophy is more value investing, so I buy companies I want to hold theoretically for like a long time, if ever.
Right.
So like things that like you like believe in the product, you buy in at a good price, because every company can be great, but if you overpay, like there goes your profit.
Right.
So if you overpay for something that is, you buy Amazon too high, let's just use Amazon, and Amazon might stay the same for 10 years. Same with real estate. You buy top of the bubble, like in LA, if you bought a place 7 or 8 years ago, like right at the height of the bubble, 2008. And then it took like 8 years for you to stay the same.
Right.
And so that can happen with stocks too. You can buy something at the height. You could buy Microsoft in 1999 and it takes 10 years for Microsoft to stay the same.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's how I feel about Tesla. I bought Tesla and Joel was busting my balls about not selling because there was that big pop a couple of weeks ago when it shot up like to 700. Or almost to 1,000. It
was like 9 something, and then
yeah. And I didn't sell. I didn't sell any of it,
right?
Because I feel like I want to hold. I mean, that's a stock I bought knowing I would have that for a long time.
But he did something very interesting, which usually companies buy back their stock to bring the price up, and like companies will start stock repurchase programs, which will be like every 3 months we're buying this amount of stock, and the stock goes up. Everyone from Apple, all these companies does it.
Right.
So Tesla's in a place where they spend a lot of money. So they have to sell bonds to raise money.
Right.
And they're actually, now that their stock is high, they're selling stock.
I saw that. So that devalues.
Well, it puts more. So when you own stock, right, this is very basic for the people at home, but like you own 1 share of the company. So if a company has 10 shares out, you own 10%.
Right.
If they go and sell another 10 shares in the market,
your 10% is worth less.
You own 5% of the company.
Right.
So theoretically, all these stock pieces of electronic paper are pieces of the company. So you own that percentage of it. So they just diluted you.
Right.
So that brings your share price down.
Right.
And the math is not always like exact like that, but it'll definitely go down if they end up selling stock.
So that's bad for me.
It's bad for you, yeah. Right. But they have to raise money somehow, and they already have a ton of debt. So the capital.
Is it good in the long run for me, or is it just bad straight out? It feels bad. I mean, it doesn't seem. I mean, it's cool because I believe in the company. I guess whatever.
Well, it's like it's a cost of capital. So companies have capital, a debt market, which are bonds, stock market, which is equity, and those are the 2 sides of like what makes the company's capital structure. Now, there's a cost of debt, which is the interest rate,
right?
You pay, and there's a cost of equity, which is if you issue equity, it brings the rest of the equity down. And so they have to make that decision to be like, which one's better? And probably it's not good for you, but if you believe in the company, it's probably the smart thing to do for them to sell stock now.
That's kind of what I thought. I don't know.
It's going to dilute you,
right?
But in the long run, they're probably making the best decision for Tesla. And you probably want a company that's making the best decisions for you as an owner.
That's what I thought, because especially since I'm planning on holding them for a while, I feel like down the road, it's going to be for the better.
Because if it goes to zero, like when you own stock, that can go to zero and the bondholders are still secured. They're backed up by assets.
Mhm.
It's like when GM went to zero.
Right.
Like that can happen.
Right.
And then they just restructure the debt and the stockholders are left holding, nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like I bought MoviePass stock once.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
How did that work out?
Oh, boy. What a nightmare that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a couple shares. I'm mad at myself because I got invited to a shareholder meeting one time, and it was in Wall Street, and I didn't go. And I'm mad at myself for not going because I feel like, that was like a once in a lifetime opportunity sort of thing. It would have been cool to see what they were talking about and see how panicked they were, sort of thing, or if they were panicked or what it was like. But yeah, I bought that. I really believed it. Helios and Matheson.
That's yeah. It was a weird value proposition because everyone had it. All of a sudden, you're like, what? 10 movies for like $100 a year, whatever it was.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, there's less movies, and then you can't do this. And then the theaters really clamped down. They're like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, they were just bleeding money because every time people would go in and buy a ticket, I just heard stories of people abusing it to just go. They would go in, buy a ticket, or they would use their MoviePass, get a ticket, go to the bathroom, not even see the movie. That company, MoviePass, is paying for that movie ticket.
Yeah.
Even if you're not seeing it, they're paying for every single ticket.
Right.
So people are seeing 4 or 5 movies in a day. They're just bleeding money.
Right.
Yeah. At the time, I was like, this seems like a good idea. This might be the future because there was we live in a subscription-based world.
Yeah.
So I was like, this might be huge. So I put money in it. I didn't lose my ass or anything, but still. Yeah, I wrote it to the ground. I wrote it
to zero?
I wrote it down to the ground. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
It's like pets.com. It is like a lot of things are like, let's scale first and add advertising dollars or figure. I mean, even Facebook was like, if you read some of their biographies, it's like they were just trying to figure it out. They're like, build, scale. Like they had a whole thing like, don't be MySpace, like never go down, keep the servers up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I think we can do ads. I think we can do this. Even Google was just like, search. Okay, search ads, search this. Most of Google's ad business was bought.
Huh.
They bought DoubleClick. They bought these other companies that did ads.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you just get enough money that you can buy somebody to do what you, instead of spending the money to set up yourself.
Well, they have capital. And then they're like, they see a company that has like a business they like, and they just add it on.
Yeah,
so
wow,
Google,
that's
and Google actually turned into a company called Alphabet. So they renamed the company and made Google part of Alphabet, right? Which is Alphabet is now like all like their moonshot stuff. They're driving cars or this and that. And so in many ways, they're like a VC firm.
That's interesting.
It's subsidized hugely by Google and the search.
Yeah,
but no one uses Bing. Like you never like it's all Google.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've gone on a lot of dates with people that work at Google, and they're a certain type of people for sure.
Yeah, they're very engineer heavy. I have a friend who works there in New York, and he was saying that like at some point they're like, listen, if it's under $100, just don't even have to like do the expense report. They like did the math, and they're like under $100 doesn't make sense for the paperwork and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
it costs more to print out shit than it does
print or email or people's time, and like they're very like engineer driven like
for
that.
sure.
Which is why they can't make like a social. Remember Google Plus?
Oh yeah,
it was like, what is this? I have to plus you. It was horrible.
Yeah. My circles.
What was? Yeah, even Google Chat is not good. And
but I use Gmail. That's all I use.
Gmail is the best. Their docs and spreadsheets. There was this one article I was reading about Bill Gates when I think he was still at Microsoft, and Google was on the rise. And like you kind of have to be strategic when you're building a company that's competing with like a giant like Microsoft, right? And Bill Gates was going through like LinkedIn ads to see like what they were hiring, and then he's like, they're hiring like OS people, which means like they're building their own OS. So that means like phones, apps and stuff.
Right.
And so he started like rallying the troops to be like, they're coming for us. And they did. They have Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Word.
Yeah. The phones and all that.
The phones.
I've never seen one of those phones. Have you ever seen one?
Android?
No, but don't they have like the Google?
Oh, the Pixel?
The Google Pixel, yeah.
I've never seen one.
I haven't either. I don't think they exist. I think it's I've never seen
I've
one.
only talked to one person who said they had one once.
What if it was a
scam? There's like, it doesn't exist.
That's what I mean. I've never seen one in the it's like the Bigfoot of phones. I've seen them online, but I've never seen one in real person.
Yeah, but if you go outside LA and New York, there's a lot more Androids.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Someone took a photo of me at my show with an Android, and I was like, this camera's amazing.
Yeah?
It was like the best picture of me ever.
I believe
And
that.
it was like a shitty 3-year-old Android.
I mean, isn't that the thing though? Like Apple users, there's like a big meme about how Apple users are excited to get features that Android users have had for 4 years.
Yeah.
And the camera's always better, and it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, but
I'm a sheep, I guess. I don't know.
I like Apple. I have a Like, I'm in. I've been in Apple since like 1999.
I'm
so
with you on
it's
that.
like I'm not getting out.
I'm with you. Before Apple Music came out, all my music was through Apple. I
Yeah.
mean, I had so much money invested in it where I was like, I guess this is just who I am now. It's just
Right.
You know,
were you Apple shareholder? Did that ever spur you?
No, I never did. I didn't get into investing enough, and I haven't. Excuse me. I haven't bought any yet. I haven't really considered it. I don't know. Do you think it's? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Apple. I mean, they're not going to go away, obviously, but
I mean, they have such a huge cash pile. It's hard to value because they still have a bit of growth baked into their valuation, and it's so they have to retain the market share to keep the valuation. But it doesn't seem like it's going away.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, the AirPods. I mean, AirPods are selling. They sell like crazy.
Yeah,
and they're so.
And services. Do you pay for like their photo thing every month?
No, I don't think so.
They have like a photo cloud. It costs me like $6 a month.
Oh no, I do have. I mean, I have the Apple Music. I use what is it, $2 a week or $2 a month or $3 a month for the cloud. So my stuff's backed up on the cloud, which is only, I feel like it's only good if you're getting a new phone. Like the only time I ever use that is if I'm getting a new phone and I want to transfer my stuff to my new phone.
Right, or if you lost your phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have pretty good luck. I've never lost a phone.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Look at you. That's pretty good.
I'm pretty like meticulous about like the check. I do the check a lot.
I was at Foot Locker or some shoe place, and I put my BlackBerry down in the BlackBerry days. Tried on the shoes. Looked to the left. Gone. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That was disheartening because nothing on a BlackBerry is backed up.
Yeah. There's no cloud. You
There's
just
no
have a
BlackBerry
brick.
cloud.
Yeah, exactly. There's a BlackBerry bush. That's it. You gotta find it. No. I mean, I don't have a case on my phone, and I feel like it's I'm all right with that. It gets smashed around and.
BlackBerry, like RIM, which was BlackBerry's company, I think they renamed it to BlackBerry, but that was a stock that was like high flying in the hundreds of dollars. BlackBerry's going to run the world. And then it was
iPhone.
It was just like, boom. It went from like $180 ish to like $3.
I had that BlackBerry Touch. I think that's what it's called.
Touch.
It was BlackBerry something where it was like a square rectangular phone touchscreen, but you could click the touchscreen. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, they're like it's feedback.
Yeah. I had that, and I was like, "This is awesome." It was fine, whatever.
Right, and then Apple kind of created the like feedback thing.
Exactly, and that's when like I think
it was really apps like email killed the Palm because Palm was like in many ways when you got a BlackBerry after a Palm, you're like, this is a downgrade, but they had email better and it was a good flow.
Yeah,
and then apps killed BlackBerry
for sure. Because they had them. I remember having that BlackBerry phone and having a few apps, but then people on...
It was clunky, hard to download. They'd never updated them.
Yeah, and they weren't great apps.
Yeah.
And even they had ones that were similar to Apple, and Apple's were still better somehow.
Yeah. Apparently they had to convince Steve Jobs to do the App Store because he didn't want to do it. He's like, we don't want anyone making stuff for this. And they're like, no, you have to. And now it's such a big part of their business model.
Yeah, they make tons and tons and tons of money.
Tons of money, yeah. And services is so important. Like anytime you can sell a subscription.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you guys will do that one day. Subscribe to our newsletter for stock tips.
Yeah. I don't really know what's going to happen with our podcast. It's I feel like we're still so early. Anything's possible.
And the plan is to get to $1 million?
Yeah, so that's the sub of the log line, I guess, or whatever of the pod. It's Hold My Bread, the $1 Million Podcast.
Yeah.
And eventually, we haven't done it yet, but we're gonna eventually launch a Patreon, and then we're not 100% sure if we're legally allowed to do this. I think we're fine, but we're gonna launch a Patreon. With the Patreon money, we're going to use that to just invest more into the podcast. So we're not going to be able to give profits back to the listeners. But if you invest in our Patreon, we're going to use that money to invest. And the goal is to get to $1 million. We get to $1 million. If you're on the list of the people that have donated, we're going to throw a big party. You can come to the party.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of the hook of the podcast.
Right.
So.
You might want to look into that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if we're legally allowed to do that.
I don't know either.
But people on Patreon, we have a bunch of friends in New York that have Patreons for their podcast, and they
just take the money.
Yeah, they just take the money and they buy shoes and they buy food and shit, which is also good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're not. I'm not sure. We've had a couple people on the podcast and we're like, can we do this? And they're like, I think so, but I'm not sure. So nobody really knows.
Yeah.
So, but that's our plan.
Right. You don't want to be giving people advice. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're definitely. I mean, that's our whole thing too. Is like we started out not knowing anything. If you follow us, that's on your head. Right. I mean, we're not telling you what to do.
Yeah. Well, I hope it works out. I mean, so if you got to, let's do the quick math. So you're at 1,000, 2,000 now.
Yeah, pretty close to 2,000.
So if you doubled every year, it would 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, 32,000, 64, 128.
This is not looking good.
So if you doubled it every year for about 12 years,
we'd be at $1 million.
$1 million.
Okay. I feel like it's doable. It's not impossible.
Dude,
people do it.
I'm rooting for you. If you can do it, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
It would be really cool. Even if you hit it in 20 years, keep it going. And
I mean, I would love to have $1 million at one point in my life. Like, that's,
then you have $1 million, and I guess $500,000 if you split it. Are you guys like adjusting your returns for taxes or posting them publicly, or?
Actually, we haven't talked about that. Actually, Joel runs the portfolio.
Okay.
He'll figure that out.
Because like you'll get, like, when you sell something at a gain, you'll get a capital gains tax, right?
Right.
And then a form, and then so usually most people don't pay that money out of the account. They pay it out of their tax return when they're doing their taxes.
Right.
But
that's all in Joel's name. So sorry about you, Joel.
It sounds Joel, like deal with it.
But yeah, it sounds like you got bills to pay, my guy.
Yeah, he might. Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then comedy-wise, so you started in New York?
No, I actually started in Indiana.
Okay.
I did stand-up in Indiana for about 5 years. I got really lucky. I got taken on the road pretty early. I think I first featured when I was like 20. My first feature when I was 20. So, yeah. And then,
who was it with?
Who was it? Oh, Jeff Bodart. He's a road guy.
Nice.
He's funny. He's Bob and Tom, and he does a bunch of stuff in the Midwest. So
yeah.
But he took me with him, and then Nick Griffin, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, he's my boy. So, but yeah, they took me on the road, and I got out there. So I did the road for a bit, and then I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm hitting a point where it's like I need to make a decision. So I was gonna move here, or Austin, or New York. And I moved to New York because I'd been to New York before. I hadn't been to Austin or LA before.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the thing, too, is people always say, if you want to get good at comedy, go to New York. And I was like, all right, that's definitely what I want.
And do it while you're young when it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like the best. Everyone should do a stint in New York if they can.
Yeah, and it's like, I do look at it where people would be like, I couldn't do it, I'm too old. And I moved to New York, and I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm living like an animal. I mean, being 20 and living like an animal is fine. But at a certain point, I feel like it's not sustainable for certain people.
Right. It's kind of like another, I don't know why we talk about Limitless so much today, but it's like the opening of the movie. It's like, he's like, I missed the on-ramp of life. That was his line.
I got to rewatch that movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I do like it though. I remember liking it. He takes that drug, right?
He takes a drug and makes him smarter. Yeah. I remember people going out around LA selling Adderall, and it's like, it's the drug from the movie.
Yeah. I used to have a joke in my act about that movie, actually.
Really?
He takes acid and makes him smart. I take acid and I just taste color.
Okay.
That was it. Obviously, I don't do that joke anymore. But when I was like, when that movie came out, I was like, fucking genius.
Yeah. It was a low budget movie. I think it was like one of the ones they caught Bradley Cooper just before he became like the worldwide.
Before he was like a superstar. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I've been in New York it'll be 5 years in April. Things are cool. I like it. I've had a good time out here, but I'm also excited to go back and
get back into the groove spots.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting. I feel like living in New York is like living underwater a little bit, where you you're flying out and you come back down in, and I don't know, when you're just in it, you're in it.
You're under concrete water in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a certain ease of things in New York that when you leave, you're like, I miss just like walking out, grabbing something like this, the flow, the train, like.
Right, I didn't realize
it's hard and difficult. So it's easy and difficult.
It is interesting. That just hit me, honestly, being out here. I didn't realize it until I got here that the ease of just walking down my block to get a sandwich and to get food and to walk. I don't take cars in New York really ever. I take a train and I walk. Yeah. And here I look at a map. I might have already said this to you, but I look at a map, and on the map it's like here to here, and I'm like, that's got to be a 20-minute walk. Definitely doable. Yeah. I put it in my phone, and it's like, that's going to take you 2 hours. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah,
it's much more sprawly than it feels or looks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So and sometimes you can walk 50 minutes. You can walk 50 minutes in New York and you're halfway uptown. So it's definitely stuff I didn't really take into account until I got here, and I really experienced what the two worlds were like.
Do you rent a car, or do you do Uber?
I've been lifting everywhere. I'm so broke. I've been taking cars everywhere, but it's all good. I paid off I got lucky. I'm lucky enough. I paid off one of my credit cards before I came out here. Sweet. So I'm like, fucking, let's go. Let's jack it back up. So
that's the other LA tip is like, go to Costco, get the rental car on Costco. and it's like it's way cheaper than lifting. You won't be able to drink as much, obviously, and do that if that's your vibe, but you'll save a ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, I think next time I come out here, I'll definitely rent a car.
Yeah.
But lesson learned.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's nice to like not deal with the parking if you're at the store last night and all this stuff, and that can eat into it for sure too.
Right. And that was the thing people told me too, where they were like, if you want to do multiple spots in a night, those nights it might be good to take a car because, like you just said, parking, it's already kind of tight to get from show to show, and if you have to worry about parking, it's going to be even worse.
Right.
So, and it is interesting. That's another thing too, is taking lifts here. I mean, it's probably a universally known thing here, but it's like a lift in New York versus a lift here is just way different. You get in a lift in New York, you get in the back, and nobody's
talking. Nice. They're professional.
Yeah, it's exactly. They're professional drivers. Nobody's talking to you. No, and if they do talk to you, it's very short. It's fine. Yeah. And people here like wanted to have conversations. Like somebody asked me where I was going earlier. I'm like, what do you mean? Where am I going?
Yeah, they're just other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But you have guys that have been driving taxis in New York for years, and then they had to evolve to drive Lyft now.
Yeah.
And they keep that same taxi mentality in their cars.
Yeah.
It's
I found Lyfts were nicer, better in New York than Ubers.
I don't use Uber. I've never used Uber. I've only ever used Lyft. So
really, so you don't even have the app?
No, I don't even have the app.
Wow,
it's such a weird thing because I feel like there's such a investing. There's like morality to all these companies and bad companies, good, all this stuff, and it's weird to draw a line somewhere when you draw. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to do something else that I'm not. So
and it's also like sometimes you make these surface judgments, like I don't like this company because of X. And meanwhile, you're like, I like this company because of Y, but they actually mean nothing.
Exactly.
Like they're doing other things you don't know about.
Exactly. That was the thing. My ex-girlfriend and I used to kind of get into it a little bit more. It was like, there's places I just won't spend money because when it comes down to it, you do kind of vote with your dollar. And
that's the big vote is with your dollar.
Yeah. So there's just certain stuff I won't do. I won't give my money to. And she was always just like, I don't understand because, and again, it's totally fair to be like, you're kind of a hypocrite because I will eat at places that I shouldn't eat at, but then other places I won't. It's like, what can you do? I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. That's why it's like transparency is so important. Like even companies like Chipotle, they're like, hey, we're cooking in front of you. We're trying to be transparent and like we're trying to just show you it's these 5 ingredients and like try to show you the supply chain. And Sweetgreens, they're like, this is where we got all the stuff. It's like this guy's farm. It's like information is powerful.
Absolutely. And then there's what is it like? You go to Five Guys or In-N-Out and they're like, we got our potatoes from here. And it's like, all right, I guess I believe you.
You can see them cooking it. Yeah. And a lot of restaurants are like, don't come back here. It's scary.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Are you the health inspector? Do you have a badge? You can't come back.
It's Roach City, the whole thing. So
yeah. So
And what else you got planned for the rest of your trip?
What am I doing? I'm doing some more shows. I don't really know if I'm doing too much extra stuff. I'm gonna maybe hit a museum or something, and then so from here, I'm here until the 24th, and then I fly to Austin, and I have some shows in Austin, and then I'm back in New York for like March 1st. So just
that's a good flow.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like you said, I've never been to LA or Austin, so I was like, I'm gonna go to the 2 places I almost moved and just feel it out. I think Austin will be cool. I'm excited to see how it compares to here. Yeah. I am honestly, I'm like ready to go back to New York. I think, but I think Austin will be fun. The shows in Austin will be cool, and it'll be fun. I'm doing Cap City. Danny Palumbo is recording an album.
Oh, he just did my show.
He's recording an album, so I'm doing 10 minutes in front of him.
Oh, sweet. He's awesome.
To record his, I've never met him before. So.
Oh, really? How'd you get on the show?
I don't. So I am friends with Shane Torres, and Shane Torres recommended me because he knew I was trying to get some shows out there. So he recommended me to the booker at Cap City, and he emailed me, and he was like, "Would you be willing to do this?" And I was like, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a prime crowd. They're going to be there for his album. They're going to be hot. They're going to be so hot, and it's going to be packed. So I'm like, I'm going to try and get a sick little tape from it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, dude.
Perfect.
They made a cool poster. It's super cool. So I'm very excited.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And then, what was I going to say? Oh, one thing we do on this podcast is a lot of goal setting. Like we'd be like, oh, so this is a new year, 2020. Like, what are like 3 or a couple of the goals you want to do this year?
Oh, I like that. Well, so one of them, I'm doing it right now. My 2020 goal was to travel for comedy more. Okay. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah. It's an investment. Talk about investing.
Right.
These trips don't really make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that it's taken me a while to figure out because I didn't go to college. So I didn't go to college. I don't have any student loan debt.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But so I look at it this way. I mean, people have student loan debt. Like, this is my I kind of look this stuff is my college. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to lose money. I'm going to come here. I'm going to be in debt a little bit, but I can manage it. I can handle it. There's people that are way more debt than me. So Exactly. And it is an investment. I'm out here making connections and all that shit. So, but yeah, so traveling, that was the thing for me. I don't know. I mean, I would like to just keep learning more about investing. I'm pretty proud of myself for what I've done so far, and just to keep growing my own personal portfolio, grow the show portfolio, obviously, but I'd like to keep growing my own. And
you should go to the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting.
You were telling me about that. I need to do
Warren
that.
Buffett's annual meeting in Omaha.
Yeah.
It's open to anyone who has a shareholder. I mean, you can buy a B share. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great. You see two old guys who basically are like 90, I think in 96, on stage for 6 hours in front of a stadium full of like 50, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
Taking unfiltered questions. Like anyone can ask a question. And they are hilarious. They kill. The whole place is laughing. They have bits. Like I've gone for 9 years, and like they have like bits they go to. They close strong. They're basically like comedians.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, it's they've got like a one man or like a.
It's
like
two of them on stage.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-man show. They rip on each other.
Yeah, I bet it's cool. They probably love it too.
Oh, they love it. It's
That's
like
great.
it's a little like campy, but it's definitely worth going. And they're not going to be around forever. So if you have
yeah, I'm definitely going to get back to
spare weekend,
I'm going to pitch that to Joel and be like, we should go and do a podcast episode from there or something. That would be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I should set more goals. I feel like I didn't give you a very good answer.
Well, you gave me travel for comedy, and then what was the other one?
Well, just learn more about investing.
Learn more about investing.
Grow my portfolio.
Grow your portfolio. I mean, those are good ones.
Yeah. Do you have any ones I should have? Do you have any good ones? Do you have any good like really good answers?
I've had I've had stuff like Dave Waite said, I want to stop smoking.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good one. Like, and I wasn't expecting that one, but I was like, that's great. Like, improve your health. Like,
yeah.
We have people be like, I want to be on more TV. I want to get on late night. I want to do an album.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to get a good TV credit. And I would like to. I've been going to the gym. I've been making myself go to the gym more. I'm proud of myself for doing that. Gym stuff is good.
It is.
Yeah, I joined a gym around the corner from my apartment, and I've been going probably 3 days a week for like the last couple months.
Yeah,
and that feels good because I don't know. I have like impulse control or bad impulse control. And I'm very hard to like self-motivate sometimes, especially for that. Because it's like, I know I should go. I know I'll be good when I go. I know I'll feel better when I go. But at the same time,
it's hard to get there.
Getting out the door is like miserable sometimes.
Yeah.
So, especially in New York. Because I'm not in New York. Sometimes it's just like, it's just, as soon as you're out there, you're just assaulted. As soon as you walk out your door, you're just assaulted with everything. I mean, there's times I walk down the block and there's a guy walking out of his house and he's just like, I'll fucking kill you. And it's like, you just came from inside your house. And you're coming, like, it's crazy. You're on your stoop and you're yelling at me.
Yeah. So. I found a good trick is if you put on your gym clothes, like that can be enough.
Definitely. I've had to do that to get myself to leave for a party. You know, I'm like, all right, I'm putting on my jeans. I got my jacket. I'm going to put stuff in my hair. It's like, if my shoes are on, it's like the more, you know, I think that works 100%.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about, like, people in LA are always like, oh, if I was in New York, I would break into the clubs so much more, because here everyone's trying to fit through the same spout, like Comedy Store, Improv, Laugh Factory, and it's just so many comics wanting to get past, wanting to get on. And New York, you still have like probably like a top tier 3 to 5 clubs, but you have like 11-ish, 12-ish clubs. Do you feel like it's easier to make headway at these clubs, or is it still the same thing there? Everyone's trying to get in. It's inundated.
It's definitely more inundated, but I obviously don't know the LA scene as well as you do, but there's more independent shows. I mean, people in New York are like, all right, I can't get into the club. I'm going to start a show. Yeah. There's shows everywhere.
That's what people do here.
Yeah. I think that's a way to do it. So, and if you can supplement that with club stage time and, I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, that's one of my goals for sure. Like speaking of goals, one of my goals is I'd like to do more stuff at the Comedy Cellar. I've done a few shows there. I'm not past there.
Right.
But that is definitely a goal that I have this year. I feel like every year I've moved to New York, I've made more progress into a different club. So Caroline's, I'm in there. Stand Up New York, I'm in there.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to check clubs off my list, which I think is a very common thing out there.
Yeah.
But it is hard. But it is also, I mean, I'm assuming everything out here is showcase.
Yeah.
So,
mostly showcase.
So, you know, you can do... You know, you move up. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
If you just put in the time, like the club, Stand Up New York on the Upper West Side, not convenient to get to, but because of that, not a lot of people are going there.
Right.
So if you are going there and you're going there regularly, you will get in. I mean, that's how I got in. Right. I would go up there nights I didn't want to go up there. You go up. It's like I said, a pain in the ass to get to, but because of that, it keeps out the people that don't want it bad enough. So
the people don't want to it's a trek.
Yeah. It's great. So.
Yeah. Tell that to people from LA who drive like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because I went up to West Side Comedy Club and did a show there.
That's pretty close by.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close to stand here.
And it was far, but it's like, it's like you're hopping on a train. What I love about New York is like you can kind of be working. You like sit down on a train, you think about your set. Here you're like, I'm going to hit this guy. He's going to run into my car.
Absolutely.
You're really dealing with life. And in New York, your brain is like, that was a great set. I'm texting new ideas to myself. Like,
yeah, that's what's cool about New York is because you do one show, you hop on the train, you listen to the recording of that show on the way there, you tweak a joke, you get off, you go to that second show, and are you done? In between, you've done the work. It's great. I edit photos on the train.
You do your post.
Yep. You tweet on the train. You send emails on the train. Everybody's putting out these videos of their jokes with like subtitles. I work on those on the train.
You subtitle on your train?
Yeah, like
your video caption.
Yeah. So I'll do that on the train. There's just an app that I use that I just upload my clip to that app and then I just subtitle it. I'm not very good at it. It takes me a long time. It'll take me a couple train rides to do one video.
Okay.
I'm getting better at it, but
I've been doing it in Premiere, so I need to find out what this app is because I hate doing it in Premiere.
Yeah. I use it on my phone. It's fine. So
dope.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's why New Yorkers are clipping so much. They're just like, I'm on the train clipping.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and same thing. Even in the back of a taxi, if you have to, you work there. So.
What do you think about this whole like movement of people posting their clips all the time? Is it something you're doing or something you're waiting on? Like, what do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm not doing it a ton. I'm not doing it as some people are putting out clips every Monday, which is whatever. But I just think it's one of those things where comedy is such a hard thing to break into. That people are constantly looking for ways to break in. And once someone does it that way, like Andrew Schultz, huge.
Right. He's the godfather of it.
Absolutely. And so I think people see that it works for him and now they jump on it. And it's like, yeah, it can still work for you. It's like Twitter. You can't you're very, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
It's hard to go, Twitter is like you don't get any traction anymore.
Right. You people became famous off Twitter, and it's like that's hard to do now. It's getting harder every day.
Right.
Same thing with these videos. I mean, you can do it. Andrew Schultz did it, and he was the first to do it, and he did it really well. And now people think that he did it, so that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And it's like, it's possible, but every day goes by, it's harder to do that. You have to find a new avenue to get through.
I feel like when they were first coming out, the comedians who were doing it were bold enough and good enough to clip, and everything you clicked on was like, oh, this is funny. Right. And now there's so much. Let's say half of it's funny. I have no idea how much. Let's say half of it's really funny, just for easy math. Half of it's not.
Right.
That means as a non-comedian, if you're in the audience just clicking through clips and you happen to hit like 3 unfunny clips in a row, you're probably done with doing that.
Absolutely. And I've seen there's a lot of bad clips out there.
Of course, there has to be.
It's like, why are you putting work? You're putting work into this. Like, you subtitled this, and there's not even a lot of laughs in the video. It's like, it's just so crazy.
Well, there used to be gatekeepers for all media. So media had to go through someone who said, okay, I'll put money in this. I believe in it. And now there's no gatekeepers, which means every single person in the world's content can be up there.
Right.
Which means naturally 80% of it's not going to be good.
Right. And that's why you have people tweeting out the most racist shit because they have no one to check them and be like, yo, you shouldn't say these things or you shouldn't put this out there. This is going to go badly for you. Because there's nobody to just be like, nobody is checking. Not that people need to be checked, but you know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, you can't run it through a filter. That's why I'll send shit to my friend and be like, how does this read?
Right. There was comedian said something like, it would save so many lives if Twitter just had like a 10-minute, in 10 minutes, you could take it down.
Oh, absolutely.
You could tweet and then think about it and then be like, wait a second, and delete.
Yeah. Well, it always makes me laugh too. I saw this a couple days ago. There's an NBA player. I love him. Lance Stevenson.
Okay.
He used to play for the Pacers. I'm a big fan. But he posted a picture of himself on Instagram of him looking super jacked and him in like nothing, just his underwear. And he just a huge bulge, just a massive outline, just aggressive.
Yeah.
Where I was like, bro, come on. I mean, I respect but I'm like, this is a lot. And then 15 minutes later, the picture's gone. I love shit like that where you're like, ooh, I got a taste. I got to see it. And I saw you second, double take and take it down.
And there's websites that just catalog everything so they control you later with anything you say.
Yeah.
So like, even if you delete something, someone captured, especially if you're famous.
Oh yeah.
Someone's like, clip, I'm going to be the guy to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is like a shitty culture to be in.
Right. The gotcha thing.
Yeah. It's like, it sucks that people get validation from that.
Right.
Being like, you suck. I'm going to destroy you.
Right.
Even if they did something shitty, it's like, like Do you have?
Be above it.
Be above it.
Be
Take
better.
Warren Buffett quote: "Take the high road is less traveled."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, those clips. Like I said, I do a few of them. I've put out a few. Maybe we've put out 3, and I have one on my phone that's kind of longer. And honestly, I feel like once I put this one out, I might be done for a while.
Right.
It's just like a solid chunk of like jokes that go together, and it's a pretty good clip. So I was like, I'll put it out.
I'm gonna start clipping the crowd work bits I do and put those.
That's a good
up.
idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Schultz is like, he's so good at it. He's great. Right. He has a guy, but he also has money, and he has a guy. He pays a bunch of money to like. He pays him a salary every year to just do all of his web content.
He's got a team.
Yeah, it's great. That's the best.
But that's such a big part of investing. Like if you're not going to invest in yourself, like who is?
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of build it and they'll come. Like build it and like, it'll work out. And then, or you'll spend too much and be like, okay, that wasn't good. But even like, what's a podcast? You buy a couple mics and you try.
Yeah.
We started with audio. We're like, let's try video.
Yeah.
You rebooted your podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Like, let's change it like this. And
absolutely. Yeah. That's the thing. That was weird too. We put out 50 episodes. It was me and 2 other guys.
Yeah.
And then we stopped it for a while, and then like you said, we rebooted it with me, Joel and I, and I'm having more fun now than we did it the first time. And I think it's better. It's a clearer message. It's just the episodes are better. It's just better.
And you got better, and you figure it out, and you know how to pod better, and that's just part of life. And like how you could easily just be here in LA a year later and not have started, just thought about starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even with me, like I recorded a bunch of episodes and I waited 6 months. I was like, oh, I got to get it perfect. And you're like, no, just do, aim.
Yeah.
Shoot, aim.
Yeah. Shoot, miss, aim again.
Yeah, exactly. And then like everything is so accessible to us. So we have the luxury to try things and be authentic. And people know now, which is great. Like you look at all of my favorite pods, sometimes it's just one cam pointed at 2 guys sitting in chairs or like, they're just being loose. And,
well, people are so nervous too about like, if I fail, everyone's going to see it. And it's like, nobody's going to remember in a couple days. Like nobody's going to remember. I used to do a show on YouTube. It was just me and comedians playing video games, and it was like, fine, whatever. Nobody really watched it. The people that watched it liked it, but I stopped doing it. And it's like, I don't think that it was a failure. It just was a thing that I tried and didn't work. And maybe I'll come back to it one day. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
The only time they'll come back to it is when you're so famous, and then it won't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
It's like Jerry Seinfeld said, it's like, you can't be all over the internet. It's not possible. It's huge.
Yeah. It just goes on forever.
Right. It's unlimited stuff available all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And it sounds like you're doing big things in New York. Every time I hear New York stories, it makes me want to move back.
Yeah, man. And it's great. I feel very, you got to force through the trees sort of thing. When you're there, you're so into it. So coming out to LA gives me perspective on how far I have come. I had a meeting with somebody yesterday, like an agency or whatever, and I've never just sitting there on their couch while I talk to them. I had to separate myself from the whole situation and zoom out and be like, you really, it's good. It feels good. You lose perspective, and it's this whole world we're in can beat you down hard. So you really have to it's so cliche, but you really have to.
It's nice to come here and then people get excited about there's limitless thinking here.
Yeah.
Like you could do this. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about doing this with your pod? We could do this brand. You're like, and you're like, oh yeah, I was just trying to get through the day. And then they're like, when you have the right team members building you, like when you're working on something else, that's the great part of the business. Like having like a manager and agent who are augmenting what you're already doing and bringing you opportunities while you're busy doing your other stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like they say, I always forget who says this stuff, but like some comedian said, you're living your life as a comedian 3 months in advance. You're planning your flights in 3 months. You're planning so you're like half present and half not.
Right.
And the more present you can be having a team of people doing other stuff. Wow, I never thought
like that. That is true. Because you do have to book, especially in New York and here, you have to book out so far. I mean, people.
Oh, here, if I'm not planning shows for May almost in LA, it's like May will roll around and I'll have like 4 spots. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You gotta, especially for indie shows, and you gotta be like, oh, I just did it. How long do I wait before I hit it up?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to get back to with the Schultz captioning is like he has a free, a guy who moves, and that's so much more exciting than a static cam.
Absolutely.
Like having that free movement cam, I was like, yeah, that's like a nice step.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I never really thought about it, but you're right. It is so much, because when you see this static camera, you're like, you just know it's on a tripod sitting there. There's something that, I agree with that.
I got a great tape at New York Comedy Club that I used for some submissions, but I was still like, can a single cam hang? Like, should my 5 to 7 minute tape be two like you start thinking about it, like the production value on basic clips is so high now. Like, should it be captioned? Like what am I,
So a clip I've been using, a tape I've been using to submit for festivals is like a 2-camera, and it cuts between, and it looks great. The camera quality's good, and it does cut. There's I think there might be 3 camera angles. That the guy recorded it. It was a show back in Indiana, the Home for the Holiday show.
Yeah.
And it is like a bit strange. So I'm like, can I use this to submit? Is this strange to have like a multicam?
I think it's the way now. It has to be the way.
Yeah.
I would like in my ideal mind, these people who are booking are so advanced that whatever quality they can see through it.
Yeah.
Human nature, to me, I doubt that.
Yeah,
because I mean, music. You play someone a half-finished song, and they're like, "I don't get it," and then you're scarred for life. You hate this. Like you have to give people finished shit,
right?
And that's the weird balance, being like a perfectionist and not wanting to release shit. Because you're like, you have that feeling like, oh, if it's not perfect, they'll hate it, but you also got to get it out. It's a weird time. It's like there's no. It either has to be so polished and like perfect, or just raw and unfiltered. It's like when you're trying to be polished and you miss it, that's when you're like, oh, you're trying to be this thing, but you didn't get there.
Yeah. People can see. It's like, that's the other thing too, is people don't want to see you try.
They don't want to see you try. Yeah, exactly. They don't want, because it has a sense of desperation. Because it's like the 2 laws of LA and showbiz are like, don't be boring, don't be desperate.
Yeah.
And when you try too hard, it's like, even in conversations, you can feel, it's like, even if someone's like nice and they're trying too hard, it's off-putting. It's weird. It's a weird thing. We like people who push us away.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird human nature thing.
Yeah, it is. That is wild.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming up, bro.
Yeah,
this is good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I feel like we could talk about just stock stuff for like ever, which is great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. I'm glad we got to. We met once in New York, so I'm glad we got to kind of.
I'll be back in New York, I think, in May, so we'll hang out. And do some shows.
I'll be there. So
yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thanks for coming.
Of course.
And where do people find you on socials?
Please follow me on Instagram. Instagram is where I'm putting all my stock right now. No pun intended. I don't know if that's a pun, but you know what I mean. Instagram. I'm big on Instagram. So Matt Bachus sucks on Instagram. Twitter, Matt Bachus. That's about it.
Find Matt Bachus. Follow him. He's a great dude, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.